We had checked out the Oppo Enco M31 2 waves ago, but as we enter this new third wave, we have the Oppo Enco M32, which is supposed to be the successor to this best entry-level neckband earphone. But while their name would make you think that the M32 is an improvement over the M31, that could not be further away from the truth. Hey guys, I am Siddharth, and while I have become used to being disappointed since 2014, the disappointment with the M32 hurts me personally, but we will also talk about a way to save these. Inside the box, you get the earphone, a manual, some extra ear tips, and a USB-C charging cable. The M32 actually looks worse than the M31 as it loses its personality with a generic looking neckband, but one good thing here is that the earbuds are better shaped than before, so I was able to fit them quite easily in my ears, and these are quite comfortable to wear for longer periods. However, because of their ear tips being oval, I wasn't able to get the best seal in my ears, and that can totally mess up the sound that you get from these. So I am using the larger ear tip for a better seal, which is still a bit too large for me, and I really think that many people may face an issue with getting a proper seal with these. We have 3 buttons that are not as easy to feel as the buttons on the M31, and you can use these to control everything like volume, playback, changing tracks, and calling Google Assistant. The USB-C charging port is covered now, so we also get an IP55 dust and water resistance rating here. There is no power button on these, so you control that by magnetically detaching them to power them on. This system is quite good because it takes less steps to connect them with your phone, and they also have a function to quickly switch between devices. We have Bluetooth 5.0 low latency here, and compared to other earphones, the latency is definitely better, so gaming with these can be decent. We also have a clear lack of LDAC here, which actually isn't very important in budget earphones because they don't have very resolving drivers, but this is one of the indications of how Oppo has shifted their focus from making the sound quality their top priority. Speaking of priorities, the battery life on the M32 has improved a lot with 28 hours of playback, and with just a 10-minute charge, these can go on for 20 hours. Their weight has also increased by more than 20%, but 18 hours of extra battery life would seem worth that. This is what the microphone on the Oppo Enco M32 sounds like. It sounds quite average, and I am also hearing some weird noise into this. Give this video a thumbs up if you are liking it so far, and you can also subscribe with bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And finally, let's talk about the sound quality, and if this was a Boat earphone or even something from OnePlus, I would have just said that they have a typical V-shaped sound signature which is not unacceptable for the price. But it was the Oppo Enco M31 that stood out as an exception and showed what you could achieve in this price range, and that is why I called it the best choice for audio quality in my neckband comparisons. But with the Oppo Enco M32, all of that changes. Instead of the balanced sound of the M31, what they deliver is boosted bass that makes things sound muddy with treble that also sounds harsh in comparison to the M31. This kind of change coming from Oppo is quite disappointing because Oppo actually has some audiophile DNA with some products that are very well respected in the audiophile community, so people expect Oppo to understand what good sound quality is. Another thing that makes this even more disappointing is that the parent company of Oppo also owns OnePlus and Realme, so if they had to deliver a product like this, they could have just made another Realme or OnePlus neckband instead of destroying a lineup that had a good reputation amongst audiophiles. The third thing that makes it disappointing is that they could still have this V-shaped sound signature with boosted bass while also having a more balanced sound mode, because on the Oppo Enco M31, you could choose between a balanced mode and a bass boosted mode. So Oppo already had a great solution to this dilemma that earphone manufacturers have, but there is no such option on the M32 and you are just stuck with its not so great sound signature. If you have already spent money on these, you can use these EQ settings that will balance out their sound quite nicely. Their instrument separation still feels lacking, but otherwise they are fine for the price range. But again, with the original Enco M31, you didn't need to use EQ, and even after using EQ, the M32 doesn't have the same smoothness in treble that the M31 had, which I value a lot. So overall, I would say that there have been more disappointing things in my life, like the season finale of Dexter New Blood, but the Oppo Enco M32 is also a step backwards in all of the directions that made the M31 great. I am not sure if the M31 will continue to be sold because I can't find it in stock at most places, but if you can find it, then definitely buy that one. Otherwise, I'll try to have some alternatives in the video description. And that was it for this review, and just go and do something good with your life.